Most people are not defeated by the world. They are defeated by themselves. Failure is rarely an outside force crashing into your life. It is almost always an inside weakness that silently eats away at you until nothing is left. And here is the terrifying part. Most people don't even notice it happening. They keep living the same days, making the same excuses, ignoring the same lessons, until one day they wake up realizing their entire life slipped away. But why does this happen? Why do so many people fail despite having every opportunity to succeed? The ancient Stoics had a brutal answer. It's not because the universe is unfair. It's not because you didn't get lucky. It's because of the choices you make every single day. The choices you justify, ignore, or delay. And here's the hidden truth. If you continue on the same path as most people, your fate is already sealed. But if you learn to recognize these traps, you can step outside the crowd and take control of your destiny. Let's break this down, step by step. And as you listen, ask yourself honestly, am I already falling into these traps? Because most people are. 1. The hidden trap of comfort. Failure rarely looks like disaster in the beginning. It looks like comfort. The soft couch, the endless scrolling, the little excuses that whisper tomorrow. Comfort feels safe, but it is silently stealing your future. The Stoics warned us about this long ago. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short life, but that we waste much of it." Comfort is the great waster of life. It lulls you into believing that nothing urgent needs to be done. It convinces you that you can postpone your growth, your dreams, your discipline, because there will always be more time. But here's the cliffhanger. Time is not promised. Comfort makes you blind to the fact that every day lost is a day gone forever. Why do most people fail at life? Because they confuse comfort with happiness. They think the absence of pain is success. But the Stoics knew better. The absence of struggle is the presence of weakness. And weakness, when tested, always collapses. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow"? How many times have you chosen the easy option instead of the hard one? Every small choice builds into a pattern, and that pattern becomes your destiny. Comfort is not neutral, it is a slow poison. But here's what nobody tells you. Comfort is addictive. The more you taste it, the harder it becomes to let go. That's why most people never escape. They become prisoners of their own comfort, and they don't even see the chains. 2. The silent enemy of distraction. If comfort doesn't destroy you, distraction will. We live in an age where everything is designed to steal your attention. Endless notifications, viral trends, cheap entertainment that keeps you hooked but leaves you empty. The Stoics would call this slavery of the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "You become what you give your attention to." And that's the tragedy. Most people are giving their attention to nothing. They scroll, they consume, they binge, but none of it builds strength, wisdom, or virtue. And here's the part that should scare you. Distraction doesn't just waste your time. It rewires your brain. It destroys your ability to focus, to think deeply, to endure boredom long enough to create something meaningful. So why do most people fail? Because they trade the chance to build a legacy for the cheap thrill of momentary entertainment. They spend their best hours chasing dopamine instead of discipline. And when life finally tests them, they have no strength left. But here's the cliffhanger. Distraction doesn't look dangerous when you're in it. It feels harmless. It feels normal. And that's exactly why it ruins so many lives without resistance. Durisigun make 3. The ego that blinds you. Comfort and distraction are deadly, but there's a third enemy even more dangerous. Ego. Most people fail because they believe they already know enough. They think they're wiser than they are, stronger than they are, more prepared than they are. And this illusion of knowledge prevents them from actually learning. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." That is the curse of ego. It keeps you blind to your own weakness. It convinces you that you don't need to grow, and once you stop growing, you start dying. Look around, how many people are stuck in the same job, the same habits, the same mindset for years? They don't move forward because they don't think they need to. They fail because they confuse survival with success. Here's the hidden truth. Ego is not strength. Ego is insecurity wearing a mask. And when reality finally rips that mask away, you're left with nothing. But here's the cliffhanger. If you don't crush your ego, it will crush you. 4. The fear of pain. The fourth reason most people fail is fear. Fear of rejection, fear of risk, fear of pain. The Stoics believed that pain was not the enemy. It was the teacher. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "If it is endurable, then endure it. Stop complaining. Pain is the price of growth, the test of resilience, the path to strength." But most people run from it. They avoid every challenge, every confrontation, every risk. And in doing so, they avoid life itself. Why do most people fail? Because they build their life around avoiding pain instead of enduring it. They choose the false safety of avoidance, and it costs them everything real. Here's what nobody tells you. The pain you fear is usually smaller than the regret that comes later. You can escape discomfort today, but tomorrow you will face the crushing weight of wasted potential. So, the question is, are you living to avoid pain, or are you living to grow stronger through it? If this resonates with you so far, you're already proving something most people never do: the courage to confront truth. Imagine what more awaits if you keep walking this path. Subscribe now, because those who stay close to wisdom attract more clarity, strength, and resilience. And let's keep going deeper. We've exposed the traps of comfort, distraction, ego, and fear. But here's the shocking part. These are just the beginning. Most people don't just fall into one of these, they fall into all of them at once without realizing it. And the result? A life that looks busy on the outside but is empty on the inside. But the Stoics had an answer. They believed that even in the chaos of failure, there is a way to rebuild. And the first step is understanding the truth about time. We ended with a cliffhanger. The Stoics said the first step to escaping failure is to understand the truth about time. Why? Because time is the one resource we cannot earn back. And yet it is the one most people waste without hesitation. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Think about that. Your life is not too short. You are simply too careless with it. Most people guard their money more closely than their hours. They will argue for a discount at a store, but they will spend entire days binge-watching meaningless content as if their hours were worthless. This is why most people fail. They act as if life is endless, when in reality, it is slipping away moment by moment. 5. The illusion of infinite tomorrows. One of the deadliest illusions that destroys lives is the belief in infinite tomorrows. People think they can always start later. Later to get healthy, later to fix their relationships, later to build the business, write the book, chase the dream. But here's the hidden truth. Later is a myth. Tomorrow is not promised. The Stoics lived with this awareness every single day. They had a practice called memento mori, remember death, not as a morbid obsession, but as a source of urgency. They reminded themselves that life is fragile, unpredictable, and limited. Most people fail because they never wake up to this urgency. They live as if time is renewable, but it's not. Every tick of the clock is a piece of your life gone forever. And the cliffhanger, by the time most people realize this, it's already too late. So ask yourself, how many dreams are you postponing right now because you think you'll have more time? 6. The betrayal of excuses. When time slips away, most people defend themselves with excuses. They say, "I couldn't because I was too busy. I couldn't because I didn't have support. I couldn't because life was unfair." But excuses don't protect you, they betray you. Epictetus warned us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In other words, stop justifying your weakness and start confronting it. Excuses are the shield of the weak. They make failure feel comfortable, but they don't change reality. Most people fail because they spend more energy defending their failures than correcting them. They polish their excuses instead of sharpening their skills. And here's the terrifying truth. Excuses don't disappear, they multiply. The more you use them, the more they control your life. But here's the cliffhanger. The world does not care about your excuses. Results are the only thing that speaks. The trap of comparison. Another reason most people fail is because they live comparing themselves to others. They measure their worth by someone else's timeline, someone else's success, someone else's wealth. And in doing so, they forget to live their own life. Marcus Aurelius warned, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." That is the trap. You place your happiness in the hands of strangers. You chase approval instead of purpose. Comparison is poison. It blinds you to your progress. It makes your victories feel small, and it convinces you that you're always behind. And here's the cliffhanger. Even if you win the comparison game, you still lose, because there will always be someone richer, smarter, or stronger. The Stoic path was simple. Stop competing with others and start competing with yourself. Progress is the only victory that matters. 8. The weakness of indiscipline. The Stoics believed discipline was freedom. Most people believe discipline is chains, but they are wrong. Indiscipline is the true prison. Why do most people fail? Because they want results without sacrifice. They want strength without training, wisdom without study, success without struggle. But the universe does not work that way. Indiscipline is the quiet killer of dreams. Epictetus told his students, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom is not doing whatever you feel like. It is the ability to rule your impulses, to direct your energy, to stay the course when it hurts. Here's the hidden truth. Indiscipline always feels easier in the moment, but it always costs more in the long run. A small indulgence becomes a habit becomes a weakness becomes your downfall. And the cliffhanger. By the time you realize your lack of discipline has destroyed your potential, the window to build it may already be gone. 9. The delusion of control. One of the greatest lessons of Stoicism is the dichotomy of control. Some things are within our control, and some are not. Most people fail because they flip this upside down. They obsess over what they cannot control, other people's opinions, the economy, the past, while neglecting what they can control, their mindset, their choices, their actions. This is a fatal mistake. It drains your energy, paralyzes your progress, and leaves you bitter at life. Marcus Aurelius said it best. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But most people refuse to accept this. They want the world to change before they do. And that is why they stay powerless. The cliffhanger. The longer you try to control the uncontrollable, the more control you lose over yourself. If you're still here, it means you're not like most people. You are not afraid to look truth in the face. That alone separates you from the crowd. If you want to keep walking this path, join us. Like the video, subscribe, and let's keep building strength together. Those who walk with wisdom don't walk alone. We've uncovered excuses, comparison, indiscipline, and the illusion of control. These are not small mistakes. They are silent assassins of your potential. And the truth is, most people carry all of them at once, like a heavy chain that drags them down every day. But here's the shocking part. The Stoics didn't just diagnose failure, they gave us a cure. They believed that through philosophy, through discipline, through perspective, you could transform even the harshest struggle into a source of strength. So in the next part, we'll uncover the Stoic antidotes, the practical steps that can turn failure into fuel, weakness into wisdom, and fear into power. We ended with a powerful promise. The Stoics didn't just diagnose failure, they gave us the cure. If comfort, distraction, ego, excuses, and fear drag people into failure, What lifts a person out? The answer is hidden in Stoic antidotes, ancient principles that, if applied today, can transform your life from fragile to unshakable. 10. The power of perspective. The first Stoic antidote is perspective. Life will test you. You will face loss, betrayal, rejection, disappointment. Most people fail because they misinterpret these events. They believe obstacles are punishments, when in fact they are training grounds. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Think about that. The very thing you think is ruining you is often the thing building you, but only if you see it that way. Perspective is the key. Where others see failure, Stoics see fuel. Where others see chaos, Stoics see training. Most people crumble because they treat every difficulty as proof that life is against them. But here's the cliffhanger. Life is not against you. Life is exposing you, refining you, shaping you into someone capable of carrying greater strength. The hidden truth. You cannot always control what happens, but you can always control how you see it, and how you see it determines who you become. Resuacting 11. The discipline of daily practice. Another antidote is practice. The Stoics were not armchair philosophers. They lived their teachings. They journaled daily, examined their failures nightly, trained their minds every morning. Epictetus told his students, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Most people fail because they consume wisdom without living it. They watch motivational videos, read inspiring quotes, but their actions never change. They confuse inspiration with transformation. The Stoic path demands practice, daily habits of reflection, self-control, gratitude, and courage. Discipline is not something you do once. It is something you repeat until it shapes your very identity. And here's the cliffhanger. If you don't practice daily, your old habits will. And your old habits are the architects of your failure. Siam 12. The courage of voluntary hardship. The Stoics believed in training the soul through voluntary hardship. They would fast, sleep on the floor, expose themselves to discomfort, not out of self-punishment, but out of preparation. Seneca advised, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" Most people fail because they avoid hardship until it crashes into them unprepared. The Stoic antidote is to embrace hardship before it arrives, to practice discomfort until it no longer terrifies you. Because here's the cliffhanger. The person who trains in hardship cannot be broken by hardship. When you choose difficulty voluntarily, life's involuntary blows lose their power. 13. The strength of focus. The next antidote is focus. In a world drowning in distractions, focus is a superpower. The Stoics trained themselves to concentrate only on what mattered, to cut away the trivial, to anchor themselves in what they could control. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This sharpened his focus. Most people fail because they scatter their energy across meaningless pursuits. They chase every trend, every opinion, every shiny object, and wonder why they make no progress. But here's the hidden truth. Your life becomes powerful the moment you stop scattering and start focusing. Success is not about doing more. It is about doing what matters with unshakable consistency. And the cliffhanger, every moment spent on the trivial steals power from the essential. 14. The fortress of self-mastery. All the Stoic antidotes lead to one ultimate goal: self-mastery. To be in command of your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. To live not as a slave to impulses, but as a ruler of your own mind. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This was not a metaphor, it was a warning. Most people fail because they live as slaves to anger, to desire, to fear, to comfort. They think freedom means doing whatever they feel. But true freedom is the ability to not be ruled by feeling. Self-mastery is the fortress the Stoics built within themselves, a place where no insult can wound, no loss can break, no fear can enslave. And here's the cliffhanger. The stronger your inner fortress, the less the outer world can touch you. Look at the world today. Most people are collapsing under pressure, breaking under criticism, burning out under stress. Why? Because they never built the inner fortress. But every once in a while, you meet someone different. Someone calm under fire, unshaken by setbacks, unbroken by rejection. You wonder what secret they hold. That secret is Stoic self-mastery. It is the daily choice to command the mind instead of obeying the impulses. That is why Stoicism is not ancient history. It is a survival skill for modern chaos. If this speaks to you, then you already know. You were not made to live like most people. You were made to rise above. If you've stayed with me this far, you've proven your hunger for more than average excuses and distractions. Subscribe, like us, and stay close, because walking with wisdom transforms not only your mind, but your destiny. So we've uncovered the antidotes: perspective, practice, hardship, focus, self-mastery. But here's the real challenge. How do you apply them in daily life? Because inspiration fades, but application endures. The next part, we'll break down step by step how to turn Stoic wisdom into practical routines. Routines that protect you from failure and prepare you for greatness. We've revealed the antidotes: perspective, practice, hardship, focus, self-mastery. But here's the question that separates dreamers from doers. How do you actually live them out every single day? Most people fail not because they don't know what to do, but because they never create a system that forces them to live their philosophy. Knowledge without practice is wasted. That's why the Stoics built routines, rituals, habits that anchored their wisdom in the real world. Let's break down a daily Stoic system you can begin right now. A system designed not just to inspire, but to rewire your life so failure has no foothold. Garisis be at the morning. Win the first battle. The Stoics believed the morning was sacred. It was the opening move in the war for your mind. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, would start each day reminding himself, "Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Why? Because he knew if he armed his mind first thing, nothing could surprise him. Most people fail their day in the first hour. They wake up late, grab their phone, drown in distractions, and wonder why they feel weak and anxious. The Stoic system flips this. A morning Stoic ritual could look like this. Wake up early, before the world demands you. Breathe deeply. Remind yourself of mortality. Memento mori. Write down 3 things you must do today, and why they matter. Face the coming difficulties in your mind before they arrive, so you meet them ready. Here's the cliffhanger. The way you start your morning decides whether you lead your day or your day leads you. The midday, guard your focus. Once the day begins, the real challenge is not starting strong, it is staying strong. This is where most people collapse. By noon, they're already distracted, irritated, exhausted. Why? Because they never guard their focus. The Stoics trained themselves to act like archers, eyes on the target, indifferent to what was outside their control. That's how you must treat your day. Eliminate the trivial. Say no to what doesn't serve your purpose. Stay anchored in what matters. A practical routine. Work in deep, undistracted blocks of time. Silence unnecessary notifications. When anger or stress hits, pause and remind yourself, can I control this? If not, let it go. Refocus on the action you can take right now. Most people fail because they waste their best energy on what they can't change. The Stoic refuses to spend his life arguing with reality, and that's the secret to lasting strength. Evening, examine your soul. The Stoics ended their day with self-examination. Seneca described it, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and measure my deeds. Why does this matter? Because without reflection, mistakes repeat. Without reflection, failure compounds. A Stoic evening practice could be: write down what went well today, what victories you earned. Write down where you failed, what weakness showed. Decide how you will do better tomorrow. End with gratitude for breath, for time, for life itself. Here's the cliffhanger: if you don't review your day, you are doomed to relive it. Weekly, voluntary hardship. Beyond daily routines, the Stoics practiced deliberate hardship weekly. They would fast, walk in the cold, eat simple food, deny themselves luxuries. Why? To prove to themselves that comfort had no control over them. In today's world, this could mean spending a weekend offline, free from digital distraction, training your body through exercise that challenges you, living simply for a day, eating basic meals, using less, consuming less. Most people fail because they avoid hardship until it strikes without warning. The Stoic invites hardship, so when life's storms arrive, they are already unshaken. The system in action. Now imagine you live this system. You win the morning, guard your focus at midday, examine your soul at night, and train with hardship weekly. Do you see what happens? Slowly, failure has fewer places to hide. Comfort loses its grip, distraction weakens, ego is humbled, fear is replaced by readiness. This is not theory, it is armor. And here's the hidden truth: the people who seem unbreakable are not lucky. They are disciplined. They built systems that protect them from the traps that ruin most lives. Cliffhanger: the enemy within. But let me warn you, building a Stoic system doesn't mean your battle is over. Because even with rituals, even with discipline, there is still one enemy that waits inside every human being. An enemy the Stoics warned about more than anything else: the restless mind. Most people fail not because the world defeats them, but because their own mind does. And unless you learn to conquer this inner battlefield, no routine will save you. So in the next part, we will go deeper into the war within. The battle with thoughts, emotions, and desires that, if left unchecked, will undo everything you build. We ended with a warning. The greatest enemy is not outside of you, but within you. Comfort, distraction, excuses. These are dangerous, but the restless mind is the deadliest of all. Because if you cannot command your thoughts, they will command you. 15. The restless mind. The Stoics understood that the mind is both a fortress and a prison. Left untrained, it becomes chaotic, pulling you into anxiety, anger, greed, envy. And here's the shocking truth: most people fail because they never realize they are at war with themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Yet most people do the opposite. They try to control outside events while leaving their own mind completely uncontrolled. Think about it. How often do you find yourself replaying the past, worrying about the future, drowning in what-ifs and if-onlys? That is the restless mind at work, and it is silently ruining lives. The cliffhanger: until you learn to command your thoughts, no amount of success will bring you peace. 16. The tyranny of emotion. Most people fail because they live as slaves to emotion. Anger controls their words. Fear controls their decisions. Desire controls their discipline. Epictetus reminded his students, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That is the dividing line. Successful lives are built not on perfect circumstances, but on controlled reactions. The Stoics did not deny emotions. They acknowledged them, then ruled them. When anger rose, they paused. When fear whispered, they questioned it. When desire tempted, they measured its cost. Most people do the opposite. They obey every emotion as if it were truth. And the hidden truth: emotion is rarely truth. It is a signal, a wave, a spark, but never a master. The cliffhanger. If you don't rule your emotions will rule your fate. 17. The poison of overthinking. The Stoics also warned against paralysis by analysis. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most people fail because they live inside imagined catastrophes. They think endlessly, plan endlessly, worry endlessly, and act rarely. Overthinking is poison. It gives you the illusion of progress while chaining you to inaction. You think you're preparing, but you're only postponing." The Stoics solved this by focusing on action. "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be," Marcus said. "Be one. Simple, direct, ruthless against hesitation." Most people fail because they believe thinking is the same as doing. But here's the cliffhanger. Your thoughts only matter if they lead to action. 18. The weight of desire. Desire is another inner enemy. Most people believe happiness comes from chasing more money, more possessions, more recognition. But desire never ends. It only grows. Epictetus warned, "Freedom is not achieved by satisfying desires, but by eliminating them." That is the reversal most people never discover. They fail because they chase what they cannot keep. The Stoics practiced contentment, not poverty, not self-denial for its own sake, but the power to enjoy little and remain unshaken without much. That is why they could rule empires without being enslaved by them. Here's the hidden truth. The more you desire, the less free you become. And the cliffhanger. The pursuit of more is the fastest road to never enough. 19. The shadow of regret. The restless mind feeds on regret. Most people fail because they live chained to the past. Mistakes replayed, opportunities lost, words they wish they could take back. But the Stoics had an antidote. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't let your reflection on the whole of life crush you. Don't fill your mind with all the bad things that might still happen. Stay with the present." Regret is useless because you cannot change yesterday. What you can change is how you live today. Most people fail because they keep rehearsing old wounds instead of creating new victories. The cliffhanger. Regret will always exist, but it doesn't have to own you. 20. The war for the present moment. At the heart of all this is one truth. Most people fail because they never live in the present. They are stuck in the past, anxious about the future, or numbed by distractions. But life only exists now. Epictetus urged his students, "Do not seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." That is radical acceptance of the present. The Stoics mastered the art of now. They trained themselves to live fully in the moment, to pour their energy into the present task, to accept reality as it is while shaping what they could. Most people waste their life because they miss the only place life actually happens, the present moment. The hidden truth. The more you anchor in the now, the less failure can touch you, because failure thrives in regret and anxiety, but dies in presence. If you've made it this far, you're already proving something rare. You are fighting the battle most people don't even see. Most people run from their restless mind. You're confronting it. That alone sets you apart. Subscribe and like, and keep walking this path, because those who stay close to wisdom attract not just strength, but peace. We've uncovered the war within, emotions, overthinking, desire, regret, and the restless mind. These are the enemies that silently ruin lives. But here's the cliffhanger. The Stoics didn't just fight them. They turned them into allies. They discovered how to use fear as fuel, pain as power, and obstacles as opportunities. In the next part, we'll reveal how to flip failure into fortune, the Stoic art of transforming every downfall into strength. We've uncovered the war within, restless thoughts, uncontrolled emotions, endless desires, heavy regret. These inner enemies destroy more lives than poverty, disease, or bad luck ever could. But the Stoics didn't stop there. They believed failure itself could be transformed into strength. They taught that no matter how broken, no matter how defeated, you can rise, if you learn the art of turning every obstacle into opportunity. 21. The hidden gift of failure. Most people see failure as the end, a sign that they are not good enough, that the dream is dead, that their story is over. But the Stoics saw failure as a teacher. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Failure is not your executioner, it is your instructor." Here's the hidden truth. Every time you fail, you are handed a mirror. You see your weakness exposed, your illusions shattered, your excuses stripped away. Most people run from that mirror. The Stoic looks into it, learns and grows stronger. The cliffhanger: if you avoid failure, you avoid growth. Reform mais 22. Fear into fuel. Fear is one of the biggest reasons most people fail. They fear rejection, fear risk, fear loss. But the Stoics discovered that fear can be turned into fuel. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of death. Not to be afraid, but to live urgently. Memento mori. The awareness of mortality sharpened his courage. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" the Stoic asks, "What if I never try?" That simple shift turns fear into fire. It drives you forward instead of holding you back. Most people fail because they let fear freeze them. The Stoic uses fear to move faster, to act bolder, to live deeper. And the cliffhanger: fear never disappears, but it can be mastered. 23. Pain into power. Pain breaks most people. But for the Stoic, pain is power. Epictetus lived his entire life with a crippled leg, yet he became one of the greatest philosophers in history. He taught his students, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it. Pain is information. It shows you where you are weak, where you must grow, where you are being tested. Most people collapse under pain because they see it as punishment. The Stoic sees it as training. Think of physical exercise. The pain of lifting weights is the process of muscle being torn, so it can rebuild stronger. Life's pain works the same way, but only if you endure it. The hidden truth: pain cannot be avoided. It can only be wasted or used. And the cliffhanger: if you waste your pain, you waste your potential. 24. Obstacles into opportunities. Marcus Aurelius gave us one of the most famous Stoic principles: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is the Stoic art of flipping obstacles into opportunities. Most people see problems as reasons to stop. The Stoic sees them as reasons to adapt, to innovate, to grow. History proves this. Every invention, every breakthrough, every act of greatness came not in the absence of obstacles, but because of them. The obstacle forced growth. Most people fail because they see obstacles as dead ends. The Stoic sees them as detours leading to higher ground. The cliffhanger: the greater the obstacle, the greater the opportunity, if you dare to face it. 25. Rejection into redirection. Rejection is another trap that destroys lives. Most people take rejection as proof that they are unworthy, but the Stoics reframed it as redirection. Seneca advised, "If a man knows not which port he sails, no wind is favorable." Sometimes rejection is simply the wind redirecting you to a better harbor. Think of your own life. Times you didn't get what you wanted, only to discover later it saved you from disaster or led you somewhere greater. That is the Stoic view. Rejection is not the end, it is guidance. The hidden truth: most people fail because they interpret rejection as death, not direction. The cliffhanger: if you change how you see rejection, you change where it leads you. 26. Chaos into clarity. The final transformation is chaos into clarity. Life will always be uncertain, unpredictable, unstable. Most people panic under chaos. They wait for calm before they act. But the Stoics knew that calm rarely comes. You must create it within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. In chaos, clarity comes from turning inward, mastering your thoughts, and choosing deliberate action. Most people fail because they drown in chaos. The Stoic turns chaos into clarity, finding stillness in the storm, and moving with purpose while others freeze. The hidden truth. Chaos is not your enemy, it is your testing ground. Think of entrepreneurs, athletes, leaders, those who rise when others fall. What separates them? It is not luck, it is not perfect timing. It is their ability to flip failure into strength. Where most see disaster, they see destiny. Where most quit, they adapt. Where most drown, they swim harder. That mindset is not modern. It is Stoic, and it is available to you right now. If you feel this truth burning in you, don't let it fade. Most people will close this video and forget. But if you act, you will separate yourself from the crowd. Subscribe, like, and join us. Because those who follow this path don't just avoid failure, they transform it into strength. So we've seen how failure can be flipped. Fear into fuel, pain into power, rejection into redirection, obstacles into opportunity, chaos into clarity. But here's the question that decides your fate. Will you live this wisdom, or will you let it slip away like most people do? In the next and final part, we will tie everything together. We'll reveal the ultimate Stoic lesson about why most people fail at life, and how you can ensure you never walk their path. We've walked through every trap, every enemy, every hidden reason why most people fail at life. We've seen comfort turn to poison, distraction steal destiny, ego blind the mind, excuses betray the soul. We've battled the restless mind, fought fear, endured pain, and discovered how the Stoics flipped every failure into strength. But now comes the final question. Why do most people still fail, even after knowing all this? The answer is simple, brutal, and unforgettable. 27. Knowing without doing. The ultimate reason most people fail is not ignorance, it is inaction. Most people know what they should do. They know they should be disciplined. They know they should live with focus. They know they should rise early, master their mind, embrace hardship. But they don't. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we do not know what is right, but that we do not do it." Knowledge without action is the greatest failure of all. It gives you the illusion of wisdom while leaving your life unchanged. This is why most people fail. Not because they lacked opportunity, not because life was unfair, but because they never acted on what they knew. And here's the cliffhanger. Every day you delay action, you are silently choosing failure. 28. The trap of waiting. Most people live waiting. Waiting for the right time. Waiting for the right feeling. Waiting for the perfect moment. But the Stoics knew the perfect moment does not exist. Life is short, unpredictable, fragile. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Waiting is the most common form of failure. It feels harmless, but it kills silently. You don't notice the days slipping, the years vanishing until your life has been wasted on waiting. The hidden truth. The greatest tragedy is not dying early. It is never truly living at all. 29. The burden of half-living. Most people fail not in one dramatic collapse, but in the slow decay of half-living. They wake, work, scroll, sleep, existing, but not alive. They trade their potential for routine, their dreams for distractions, their destiny for comfort. The Stoics saw this clearly. Epictetus warned, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" That is the cry of a man who saw too many wasting their lives in mediocrity. Most people never demand the best of themselves, and so they fail, not with fire, but with a whisper, not with a crash, but with silence. The cliffhanger. The The deadliest failure is not to die, but to never truly live. 30. The courage to live differently. Here is the dividing line. Most people fail because they live like everyone else. The crowd chooses comfort. The crowd obeys distraction. The crowd worships ego. The crowd waits for tomorrow. The Stoic lives differently. He wakes with urgency. He chooses discipline over indulgence. He faces pain with courage. He commands his mind instead of obeying it. He sees death not as terror, but as motivation. And because of that, he wins a life most never taste. A life of clarity, strength, freedom, and meaning. The hidden truth. If you want a life most people never have, you must live a way most people never will. If you've stayed until now, you've already proven something rare. You are not like most people. You have faced these truths head-on instead of running. That alone separates you from the crowd. So here's the choice. Will you walk the path of most people, the path of silent failure? Or will you rise into the Stoic path, the path of strength, freedom, and mastery? If this resonates with you, imagine what more awaits. Subscribe, like, and join us. Because those who follow this wisdom attract more clarity, more courage, and more life than the crowd will ever know. Why do most people fail at life? Because they surrender. They surrender their time to comfort. They surrender their mind to distraction. They surrender their destiny to fear. The Stoics refused to surrender, and so must you. Remember this. Every moment is a choice. Every action is a step toward failure or toward freedom. Choose wisely and never forget, while most people fail, you don't have to. This is not the end. The next lesson may surprise you even more, because we'll uncover the Stoic secrets not just to avoiding failure, but to building unshakable success. Success that no loss, no rejection, no chaos can ever take away. Stay ready. The next video could change everything.